Surprise releases and updates of July begins with Friends vs Friends, Baba's Laundromat, the first free content update to this stylish PvP card-based first-person shooter, although player population seems to be waning. We also have the 1.0 release of the sandbox simulation title Brick Rigs, where you're driving various vehicles and where destruction physics appears to be the main draw. Apparently, this has done stupid numbers for the developers to the tune of almost $10 million estimated lifetime sales, where the more than 200,000 user creations on Steam Workshop certainly adds to its longevity. This video is brought to you by the Dragoness Command of the Flame, a Heroes of Might and Magic-like turn-based strategy game, but with a roguelike twist, where this is releasing on PlayStation 4 and 5, Xbox Series X, GOG and the Epic Games Store today on the 10th of August, with a Nintendo Switch version on September the 7th. If you're not familiar with Heroes of Might and Magic, the gist of it is that it mixes turn-based combat on a grid where you're controlling stacks of units to destroy your enemies, which alternates with overworld exploration where you're moving around on the map, gathering resources and activating objects of interest, with a central castle or home base that you can upgrade which unlocks new spells, units and more. The twist in the Dragoness is that there is permadeath, but where your castle is now the hub for meta progression that allows you to get stronger from run to run, so if you love the HOMM series like me, this is certainly worth a look, so click on the link in the description to pick it up. From the title of this game, the inspiration is pretty clear since Geometry Arena 2 sure looks to be heavily influenced by Geometry Wars, following Geometry Arena 1 that released in 2021, where the first game has more of a visual resemblance to its inspiration, where this game instead has a more, shall we say, cuter look. You're battling all sorts of geometric shapes with a variety of weapons and power-ups which synergize with each other. In a more modern context, it does seem to lean towards more of a Vampire Survivors-like, but the limited one-screen arena does make the action more contained, being an all-action title worth a look. An adorable management sim title that is also in early access is PuPu's Adventure Park, one where these cute blob-like creatures have entered into an agreement with dark goblins, renting the land from them in order to construct the park so that you can grow your clan. It is from a Chinese developer, but the localization appears to be okay, but might be rough in spots, so maybe hold off on this for now, but at least put it on your wishlist so you don't forget. Yes, the Vampire Survivors style game is overdone, and I'm actually of the opinion that the wave has kind of come and gone, so indie developers, if you're working on one of these, try to get it out of the door since it's more or less over, but yet games like Goobies did manage to sell a good number of copies. Of course, the visuals in this are far better than the average Vampire Survivors clone, where the level-based structure is different as well, but the largely black-coloured blob-like enemies are a little difficult to tell apart. An impressive-looking first-person shooter is Starsiege Deadzone, being a 3v3 corridor extraction shooter where you're delving into derelict space stations, grabbing resources and attempting to escape alive. The spaceships are procedurally generated and have hostile AI-controlled enemies to battle. We might run into the enemy team as you explore, and it's a desperate battle for survival whenever you do. Most interestingly, this is free to play with cosmetics and stash tabs being in their Founders Pack supporter DLC, where player population on Steam peaked at 4,800 concurrent players as of recording and is pretty popular. This next title might be somewhat of a hidden gem as well, since the Book of Warriors is a chess-like turn-based strategy game but with a roguelike twist, where you choose a party of 3 characters and enter various battles, having to defeat all enemies on screen. There are a number of different spells and abilities at your disposal, with the procedural generation of a roguelite that gives it variety, where interestingly, this is not an early access game and is content complete. Name a more common combo than guns and simulation titles, where Gunsmith Simulator is exactly that, where you're repairing, restoring, and customizing a variety of firearms in your workshop. Based on its success, there sure seems to be a healthy number of gun perverts in the world, where if you are one of them, perhaps this will be of interest. The top 5 begins with the 1.0 release of Delta V Rings of Saturn, a physics-based spaceship mining simulation title where you're attempting to get rich through the use of your tools, where you know the drill by now. It's explore, mine, sell, upgrade, and mine again. However, more than that, there are mysteries to uncover in the Rings of Saturn, where this has gotten a good amount of traction through early access, so if you love your space trading sims, this will be of interest. A tremendously popular roguelite city builder title currently in early access is The Wandering Village, where you have a symbiotic relationship with the giant creature that you're building on, where the ocean update adds a new biome with plenty of challenges. The creature can now move through water, which means new hazards to deal with a variety of other upgrades and new stuff like buildings and events being added, making this even better. I'll be the bearer of some bittersweet news since Patch Quest did just release an update titled Dungeon Crawler, but that should be the final update to this long in development game, as the developer looks to close the book on the title following many years in pre-production, early access, and even post 1.0. This monster-taming action roguelite does have some Metroidvania-like elements, where specific creature abilities allows you to access new areas and is pretty underrated, but this update adds in Challenge Mode, which are a series of randomized and handcrafted dungeons with custom challenges, even having a level editor so that you can make your own. This update also includes a rework of passive abilities for monsters and the usual bug fixes and improvements, so here's wishing the developer all the best on his next project. One of the best indie games of the year so far is Dredge, a cosmic horror fishing game with a very compelling gameplay loop, where the simply titled Update 2 does add even more to the game. Most critically, it adds 8 new types of wildlife encounters, 10 new aberrations in the form of mutant fish, a combat-less passive mode as well as photo mode, enhancing the value of this game. According to this trailer, this moment in July was 9 years in the making, where the pixel art action roguelite in a post-apocalyptic world released out of early access and is good. But I still remember the days when this game was titled I, Dracula Genesis, which was renamed Doomsday Hunters a little bit into early access to get this excellent roguelite with more of the best indie games of the year in this video.